So we've got no massive weekend of rugby coming up. We've got Ireland versus New Zealand, we've got England, Australia, we've got Scotland, South Africa, and Wales, Fiji, to name just a few. Those are the 4 I'm going to try and stay across. If you do want to try and win Six Nations tickets, as you know, we're trying to play a game in this November Internationals called My Starting Lineup. And if you think you can predict Ireland, England, Wales or Scotland starting 15 exactly, i.e. second rows in the right place, wingers in the right place, then you could be in a draw to win Six Nations tickets, 1 draw every week, a pair being won every week. All the info is in the description below. I've done a big video on it before, and also please do enter the code RugAN1 on registration to be linked to my channel. That'd be awesome. Let me know how you do, and if you win, that'd be absolutely great. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about what lineups we're going to have, what head-to-heads. The Irish team is very, very settled. They're only really missing Dan Sheehan from their absolute top list of players here. And if Ronan Kelleher is deemed fit enough, I think he starts. So it's going to be Porter, Kelleher, Furlong, Porter and Furlong, of course. On the bench, it's going to be Rob Herring, Healy and Beelum. Herring being called up, covering for Sheehan there, and I think he'll do absolutely fine. He's always played well for Ireland whenever he's been called upon, and Healy and Beelum very experienced so far, and this is an experienced team. There's a few newer players in here, but really they know what they're all about. Obviously Ireland, when they come together, they slot into their rhythm quickly anyway, but this is, you know, a generational team possibly playing really well. Can they get a big scalp against New Zealand? Second rows I expect to be McCarthy and Byrne, maybe James Ryan on the bench. We've got Henderson back in the squad as well, so very strong there. Peter Amani, the veteran, he's back in the squad, proved his fitness, so I think he'll probably start at blindside, Van der Fleer open side, and the captain, Caelan Doris at 8. Incredibly experienced pack. I think they can do very well against a strong New Zealand pack, that is for sure. We'll talk about them in a minute. Gibson Park will be back at 9, and the 10s they seem to have sorted now after the exit of Johnny Sexton. Obviously we had Carberry for a bit, we had the Byrne brothers, but now they seem to have settled on Crowley and Frawley fighting it out, and probably young Prendergast will come into it at some point, so they look like they've got that position sorted. That was kind of a question for a while. And the 3 centres, the 3 big men are there. Aki, Ringrose and Henshaw. I think we'll see all 3, but I think we'll see Aki and Ringrose start. And Hansen can get the band back together. He's back fit now, so Lowe, Hansen, Keenan. I think that's the way that Farrell wants to go. And on the bench, I just don't think you can ignore Ryan Baird. He's such a talent. Craig Casey, I think, will get the nod over Murray as the next guy in line over Gibson Park. Kieran Frawley covering 10 and 15, and you can't leave out Robbie Henshaw. He can play all over the place, but mainly covering 12 and 13. So very, very experienced. Going up against New Zealand, who've got a few injuries. They got that win just about against England, some very exciting attack. You know, the problem there is at hooker, they lose Cody Taylor, who is so good, so much their starter. Asafo Amua has big shoes to fill. He's very explosive. We know he's a hell of an athlete, but can he hit his targets in the line out? Pressure on him. Big game. Can he prove he can start? The mighty Tamaiti Williams is there at loosehead with Lomax, I reckon. But I think they might change the second row a bit. Patrick Tuipulotu was so good when he came on. Vai, you know, maybe not quite as physical as Tuipulotu, so up against that big Irish pack, I think they might start Barrett and Tuipulotu and drop Vai to the bench, but either way round those 3 go is pretty good. Who's more than pretty good is Wallace Satiti. He's absolutely fire, so I'm sure they're going to go Satiti, Kane, Surveyor once again with their back row. And I think they might change their 9s. I think Roygaard is the man that they want, that Robertson wants at 9. He's had 1 game under his belt off the bench. I think he now starts. And Mackenzie's going to be taking over, I think, from Bowden Barrett, who's out. That's a blow, because then you can't use Mackenzie off the bench. I mean, he came off the bench and kicked that kick from the sideline to potentially get the winning kick. Amazing stuff from Mackenzie. He gets to start. Had a bit of heat in the summer where he did some loose stuff. Another chance to say, no, I can do it. So one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity, and Mackenzie gets to show it again. Does Rieko Ioane drop out at 13? I would think he probably should, but I don't think he will. I think he'll stick with Barrett and Ioane, Clark, Talea, Jordan as the back 3, and then coming into the bench to cover that 10-15 position, I think Perifetta comes in. Plummer could do it as well, ALB covering the backs as well. So I think that's how it's going to go. Who's going to get the win? Well, goodness me, it's going to be really tight. but those 2 losses to the New Zealand starting team just takes it away a little bit from them. Ireland are at home. This is as good as it gets for Ireland. Pretty much everyone to pick from apart from Sheehan. So I think they tend to hit the ground running. So I will give it to Ireland, but it could be an absolute cracker. There should be plenty of tries, but let's give it to Ireland by about 5 points. And just to note, all my November videos are supported by Sports News Blitz, giving chances to young students, young journalists, internships, placements. They're really good. Check them out for good sports content down below. Now on to England, Australia. I've mentioned England before a few times, so I won't spend too long on it, but I think he's pretty much going to go with exactly the same team. Stick with Tom Curry. I think he might change the 6-2 split and not have Don Brandt on the bench, because I think even he would have seen that was a bit of a waste of time. Ben Curry can cover 7, Tom Curry can move around to 6, Earl can cover position, so I don't think you need the 6 forwards. Does he stick with Randall on the bench and not JVP? He may be tempted. I think he's definitely going to stay with Spencer. And also, if he goes to a 5-3, I think he may be tempted with Freddie Stewart, because we can see how dangerous that kick is now that you can't block off the kick. So him fielding kicks maybe later in the game could be quite useful. Tommy Freeman to cover the centres so you can have a back 3 on the bench. So that's how I see England going. Australia, I think, will look a bit like this. If they can get Bell, Fessler and Tupou as their starting front row, that was looking really good in the summer. So impressed with Bell. If Tupou's on the top of his game as well, those are 2 top props. In the second row, I think it's going to be Williams or Frost, or Williams and my choice, Salakai Lotto, who's got a bit more impact, but maybe he will be on the bench. So let's go for Williams and Frost with Salakai Lotto coming on. The back row, they still have Liam Wright out. I think he needs shoulder surgery. So I'm pretty sure the best balance will be Valentini, McWright and Harry Wilson. Wilson, the captain now. That's pretty settled. I expect them to be better than the summer. Maybe coming together a bit more as a team. More time together. The backs, the half-backs, I'm not completely sold on how good they are. Gordon and Lolaseo. I think it's probably the best they've got. McDermott coming on, Donaldson coming on. Now, normally it would be Paisami and Ikitau, but we've got Samu Karevi back. And I looked up his age. He's actually only 31. I thought he was older. There's no reason he couldn't get back near to his best. Maybe not quite when you're a little bit older, but at one point he was the best 12 in the world for me. So he's absolutely amazing to have back. So Karevi, Ikitau, I think that's how he's going to go. Peace was really good in the summer. Powerful winger, so I think he should retain with Kellaway on the other wing. And Tom Wright, when he gets it right, is the most dangerous attacker they have. Such quick feet. So he stays, and then the bench as that. I think Australia could be very, very good. I'm going to back England. I backed against them last time. I said New Zealand would win, and they did only just. So let's go with my team this time. Let's say England win. They're going to want to get that win, but I think Australia could be very good, could be better than the summer. Could be an absolute cracker, but let's go for England by 3. Then on to Scotland versus South Africa. Any game involving Scotland is box office, loads of tries. South Africa are really exciting. They don't play boring rugby. That stereotype, I think, is well and truly gone. They're exciting these days. Look at their backline. I'm struggling to pick the Scotland bench, so please help me out there. I thought I'd just leave it rather than make a mess of it. But I think they will make plenty of changes from that Fiji game because they didn't have certain players available. So I think they're going to bring in their first choice halfbacks of Ben White and Finn Russell. Then you've got Tupou, who's now the captain. Goodness me, he's done so well for Scotland. Now the captain. Him and Jones are a fantastic pairing. Graham was looking back to his best, but they've still got Kyle Steyn and Rowe there who could come in. So many good back 3. I think Blair Kinghorn, though, comes back in for Rowe at 15, and that backline is absolute fire. If this pack can hold their own, I really like young Ashman there at hooker, maybe not so young anymore. But goodness me, look at this South Africa team. They are the Rugby Championship champions, and they're pretty much the same, if not a little bit better. They can field Unshay, Mbanabi, Malherbe, Etzebeth, and somebody else. Probably back to Moster, although they could stick with Nortje because he did so well. But if Moster is fit, I think he probably plays. Could be a bit tough on Nortje because I think on the bench they're going to want RG Snyman coming on because he's such a monster. So either Moster or Nortje miss out. Khaleesi, Pieter-Steph du Toit, definitely the starting flankers, and Jasper Wiese I think will carry on over Elric Lowe, but that could be close. You can see on the bench, I think they're going to go 6-2 with Lowe and Smith as those 2 back rowers. Grant Williams covers 9 but also can cover the wing. And then where do they go? His 5-3, I think they definitely go Pollard and Willemse. If not, do they go Pollard or do they leave them out and take Willemse, who can cover 15 and 10. But I think they're going to stick with the halfbacks they had in the Rugby Championship. Hendricks doing the kicking, so they can play Manny Liebok. Then Deolande Creel as normal, Arenza Colby as normal. 15, I think it sticks with Apalele Fasse because he was so good in that summer. Willemse, could he come straight back in? Maybe, but I don't think so. Then they'll stick with Mark Steenekamp and Koch on the bench, Lowe, Smith, Williams, and then, Pollard, Willemse. Not so sure on that one, let me know, but it's pretty much first choice, and because they're world champions and it's first choice, I think I just tip it to South Africa. That pack could be too much for the Scots pack, but goodness me, if they get that backline going, if Scotland can get some free quick ball, they could be devastating. So Scotland, they could have a massive upset here. They could have a big win. But just my head says South Africa. So South Africa by about 7 maybe. Just a bit too much in the pack. But could be a shock. And then finally on to Wales versus Fiji. And I think this could be a really good game. Wales, yes, they lost twice in Australia over the summer, but they should be better for it. I've been a bit down on them in the past, so let's big them up. And I'm actually going to say my prediction right now. I think Wales are going to win, even though the Fiji team should be much changed. And let's actually go to Fiji first of all. Not sure of their bench. Fiji fans, let me know. But I think these guys might slot in. We might see Munt staying at 10. He's their best 10, definitely. But then in the backline, the centres, you could have Radradra, Naikalevu, Tuisova on one wing, Botitu on the other wing. I mean, that's a big difference already in the backline. If they can get them some ball, if they can stay coordinated and not give away too many penalties, there could be a lot of tries. But I do expect this Welsh team to be better after that summer. Probably Thomas Lake and Griffin. Hopefully they stick with Griffin. I do think he's their best tight head, even though he's young. Do they take a chance and go with Schwinter, the youngster, alongside one of the older guys like Rowlands? Or do they start Beard and Rowlands? I'm going to say Schwinter and Rowlands. Plumtree did well in the summer, so stays at 6. He's very physical. The returning Jack Morgan, I think, is a big boost at 7, just pushing out Rafael to the bench. Wainwright at 8. I think he's going to go for the Gloucester halfbacks of Thomas Williams, who's clearly on fire and the best player, and Gareth Anscombe as an old head, although he could go Ben Thomas from the summer. I think maybe they're going to push out Costello, but that's going to be an interesting one. I think maybe he's going to go with the experience for now, but I don't see Anscombe as the future. But anyway, let me know who you think is going to start 10. Can he ignore Max Llewellyn's form for Gloucester? Probably not. So another Llewellyn plays for Wales there. So Eddie James and Llewellyn, a big, quick, young centre partnership. Can they gel in time? Because there is some inexperience in those backs, in the back three especially. Maybe it's going to be Dyer and Rogers and Winnett. All quite small, all quite inexperienced. Or could you start a Grady there? But I think maybe Grady on the bench. So a tricky one there. That's how I see Wales lining up. But I'm happy to hear other opinions there because not completely sold. And let me know how you think Fiji are going to line up. I think it's something like that. So I am saying that Wales are going to take that one. But goodness me, there's so many exciting matches here. Ireland, New Zealand, England, Australia, Scotland, South Africa and Wales, Fiji. What a great lineup. Plus the others that are going on. Let me know who you think is going to be the starting lineup. And if you want to have a go at winning Six Nations tickets every week, then have a go at my starting lineup using the code RugbyAN1. That would be cool. Anyway, comments all down below. Like, subscribe. That would be awesome. And I'll catch you next time.